What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Food for Thought. You're here with Kitchen Raid, and today we're checking out Muziris, which is in Seven Kings. So this spot has been chosen to us by our guest Shilpa. Now Shilpa is a lady of many talents. She's a writer, dancer, property investor. Shilpa, do you want to come say hi?
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here.
You ready to go and eat?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Let's go. So Shilpa, thanks for joining us. So late afternoon thoughts, can you tell us about where you got the name from and what the page is about?
Well, you're not going to get much of an answer from where the name is from, because I think I was just looking for late night thoughts, but it was taken. So I went with late afternoon thoughts. I didn't think it was going to turn into anything. I didn't think it was going to turn into anything big when I started it. But yeah, initially it was just a place for me to like vent my thoughts and write down my thought process as I was working through some things. It was in like university, and I realised later on that a lot of people related to the kind of things I was going through.
It's actually quite uncommon that people do speak about these topics, so I think it's amazing that you've actually gone and taken that step. So then, I guess, what's the best interaction, or maybe even worst interaction, that you've had from people through the page?
I think I've had really good interactions, and touch wood, I haven't had really bad interactions so far, but I have to say one of the best, or like multiple best interactions I've had is probably when I wrote a piece about being the oldest daughter of the family.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of went, well, viral for a small page, and a lot of people literally all over the world messaged me saying thank you so much for writing this, and it just basically puts into words what they've done through their whole life in a couple of Instagram posts. And yeah, I couldn't feel any better about what I was doing then in that moment. Bad interactions, I just have to say, it's just like trolls and just random men on the internet saying unnecessary things, but that's just gonna happen, isn't it? Like,
100%.
Instagram is such an awful place sometimes.
I guess one question about it is, one, how does it affect you, your mental health, and two, what do you do to deal with it? A lot of people in your situation take it upon differently. So then how would you kind of advise people to treat the situation?
I would say don't go into starting an Instagram page, or defining your self-worth through an Instagram page without fully being mentally capable of it, because it is such a huge task.
Very draining, I can imagine.
100%. It takes all your time, and if you sit there watching the likes and all the interactions, and that's going to eat you alive, and especially when you compare yourself to other people. But I have noticed that sometimes on Instagram it's about just steady growth. So I know some influencers that have reached 600, 1,000 posts before they start, building some attention and everything and growing. Once I started noticing that that's kind of the trajectory, I stopped giving it all my attention. Nowadays, I just don't really see it as like my whole life, because I have a career outside of it, and I don't really want to be the kind of person that turns it into my whole life. I feel like it's sometimes hard to get fulfillment from your main 9-to-5 job, so you can use the time outside of it to do something fulfilling that you feel good about.
And I guess with the reach that you've got, the feedback that you've received is definitely something that's 100% worth starting. And like, this is, again, it's only the start, so to see where you could go is very interesting stuff.
Thank you.
So when you started off your page, it seemed to be a lot more, so you're pushing out your poetry and more of your blogs. What kind of made you kind of want to put your face out there a bit more?
I think I honestly just gave into the materialism of Instagram. Really? I noticed that people related to or interacted with posts more if they could see the person writing it, and it just sort of puts a face behind the account. But yeah, I figured that people were kind of materialistic in a sense, and wanted to see a girl rather than
I guess
a post.
maybe,
and to be honest, still now, like when I get more interaction with my like selfies or whatever, I get a bit upset that I don't get that with
your work.
With my work. But that's just how the world works. Like they don't really see past what what's on the outside.
Alright guys, so our food's just arrived. So we're starting off, we've got our chicken biryani, our mutton devil, chicken manchurian, which I've had before, is very, very good. We've got lamb chops, pork fry, and on your side, what have we got?
We've got a ghee roast, and this is meen bolachadu, and it's actually pomfret, the fish that's in, and it's cooked in a banana leaf. It's really good.
Looking forward to that. Shilpa, you yourself, you're Kerala.
Malayali.
Malayali, okay. So, what would you say defines like Malayali food and I say culture as well? What defines it and what are your favourite aspects of it?
It's really hard to say what defines it, to be honest. Like we were discussing earlier, the language itself is a balance between Sanskrit and Dravidian language. So I think that translates into our culture as well, where we have a good balance of influence from the Hindi industry and also the Tamil industry, even Sri Lanka, like in terms of our food.
That's the thing, because like the funny thing is Indian Tamil food and Sri Lankan Tamil, you'd think would be quite similar, but then just I say we have way more in common with Malayali food, which is quite a nice touch.
And I think that's more to do with like the environment. It's a lot more sort of rainforesty. There's a lot of banana leaves and coconut trees and everything. So yeah, I think in terms of our food, the main difference is that the base is quite, like the spices we use and everything are quite different, and we use a lot of fish and a lot of coconut. We also don't use tomato as much in our food. And yeah, in terms of spices, it's curry leaves, we use mustard seeds, we use things like cinnamon as well. So yeah, honestly, I think the food is great.
Sounds like you're a very good chef.
Oh no, I actually struggle to make South Indian food more than North Indian food because it's a lot harder and it takes a long time. And sometimes like the fish only has that flavour if you cook it in like a clay pot. And it's very specific.
So
like you
long
have to
to
get
do that,
yeah, no, I can't really do that, especially at uni. No, I didn't get a chance.
Same here. How's the food?
It's actually really good. It's just like when people at home make it.
Oh really? Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was gonna say, how's it compared to Kerala food? So you said you worked at Kerala, Malayali place before?
Yeah, so when I was in university, I worked at a Malayali restaurant called Kyle in Nottingham, and when the shift would end, we got to take home food like this. So I guess
no way.
I ate like a king for quite a while at uni. Queen. For quite a while at uni, so I got really lucky. I didn't miss my mum's food too much because of this.
That's Was it better than your mum's food? That's a real question.
No.
Well done, Mum. One huge thing that I saw on your page was that you bought yourself your new flat, and that is a huge accomplishment, especially for someone at our age. So huge well done for that. How did you go about it, and what was your drive behind?
I kind of realised pretty early on that, you know, as a female as well, it's really good to have financial independence, because I think a lot of girls in our community go from just being dependent on their parents to just being dependent on their spouses, and then that leaves you in a situation where you don't have as much control over your own life as possible. I was able to look towards getting a flat, and I really wanted it to be in London, so I checked out all the ways that's possible, like the Help to Buy, shared ownership. I ended up buying through the Help to Buy loan, and I would definitely recommend, because if you want to get your foot on the property ladder and you plan to live in your property for like 5 or 6 years, then that's a really good place to start.
So what advice would you give to our viewers in terms of getting themselves financially independent and also on the property ladder?
I would say it is very hard and it's going to be a long process, so be prepared for that. Get your finances in check, try and get a good job where your salary is, you know, big enough for the range that you want to go for, because mortgages tend to lend you like 4 or 5 times your salary. So definitely consider that. Get a good credit score and just research your ass off, really. Be prepared to do a lot of research, basically, because it doesn't come easy, like finding a property and then finding lawyers. I actually had to fire my lawyers technically the first time because they were just awful. So yeah, it's a very long process, but as long as you have you stay organized, basically, it's
very high learning
doable.
curve, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's definitely doable, especially with the schemes that London has now, and I think there's a Help to Buy loan outside of London as well, for 20%. So consider things like that. On
your page, I saw something that was Schadenfreude. I might be saying it wrong.
Oh yeah.
So looked into it. I don't know what it means. Obviously, it means like it's kind of similar to evil eye, right?
Yeah.
So what, like, if you don't mind going into it, what was your history with that?
I think what spurred me to write that was when I saw on social media just the way that sometimes us as Asians and Indians, we tear down each other. For example, someone that we know goes into something creative.
Right.
Even though they've made the bold decision to do something like that, we still look for the flaws and everything, and we kind of take joy in the fact that they're not doing well in that creative field, even though we acknowledge the fact that, you know, they're the first of our kind to do something
step
like
out and
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And Schadenfreude basically means like taking joy in someone else's misery, which I think is quite prevalent in our culture.
100%.
And I don't know if that just comes from like insecurities or not, but it's definitely something that I wanted to like call out.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what we're like, calling it out, putting it out there.
Exactly, and like just making us realise that that is a thing that we should probably stop doing,
No, 100%.
especially if we want to move forward as a generation.
Thoughts on the food?
I can't fault it, honestly. Like, I've eaten my mum's food and a lot of auntie's food, and this just tastes like good homemade food.
No, definitely. I thought when it came, it looked very oily, but maybe I'm just fat. It tasted very good, yeah.
Some of the higher end restaurants sometimes get it wrong because things are either priced differently and they want to make it more palatable to the UK. But this hits everything correctly, like the spice level and all of the different ingredients. Just perfect.
So I'll say for myself, the chicken Manchurian, mutton dal, always a go for. The rotis were very good, parota, sorry. How's the dosa?
The dosa is good.
You haven't really done too much.
No, the dosa is good, but I would personally recommend the fish, the pomfret, and the pork. Like that is exactly how they would make it in Kerala. So
basically everything we got then. Kitchen Raid approved.
Is that a thing?
No, every ingredient. I'm ready to go.